السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وبارك وسلم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح. والحمد لله على كل حال. So, first thing, Jazakumullah khair for the organizers of Al Mubarak Radio for inviting. And this is an interesting initiative that people have taken here, which is to combine mind, body, and soul, and food for thought. The reason I said that it is an interesting initiative is because there are many people who don't realize and don't understand that we all have a soul. And the reason I've said it that because if you look around, looks like majority of our focus is on our bodies. And that's what we are making an effort on. It's interesting, if you visit a Tesco or you visit any grocery store, any major store, the number of eatables that you find, the brands, the flavors, only if you go to a juice portion where they put in juices, it'll be amazing that how many flavors that you get. You have mixed flavors, you have strawberry, pineapple, banana, mixed, raspberry, blackberry. So that shows that how much effort has been put into the bodies that people are coming up with all of these different types of foods and their flavors. And the food section filled with so many different types of cookies and jams and whatnot. And unfortunately, while this effort has been made in working on our bodies and taking care of our bodies and all of these different types of foods, people have absolutely forgotten that we have ruh, we have soul as well. And people have also forgotten that our reality is our ruh. When Allah Ta'ala creates a human being in the womb of the mothers, Allah Ta'ala, it is a piece of flesh. And then a time comes when Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala sends ruh inside that body of the baby. And that's when the heart starts beating, that's when the body starts moving, the baby starts moving in the womb. And before that, it was just a piece of flesh. And then the baby comes out of the womb. It lives for a certain time. It lives for all of this time that he lives in this dunya. And then a time comes when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes out that ruh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes out that soul. And what remains is dead body as well. It remains a piece of flesh. And we bury that dead body into the ground. Before the ruh went out, before the ruh goes out, we call that person with his name. We call him, say for example, he is Ahmed, he is Muhammad, he is all of the names that we call him with in this life. But then as soon as the ruh goes out, we start calling him a dead body. For example, if he passed away in the hospital, we say, oh, let's release the dead body from the hospital. Let's get the dead body buried ASAP. We don't call him Ahmed anymore. We don't say, oh, let's bury Ahmed. We don't say, oh, let's release Ahmed from the hospital. We start calling him dead body. Where did Ahmed go? Ahmed actually went back to his Rabb. Ahmed went back to Allah. Right? So that is a sign, that's a proof that the reality of insan is the ruh, is the soul. And we also have our bodies. So what are our bodies? Bodies are animalistic. Bodies are like animals. We share these bodies with animals. Just like animals have two eyes. Or there are some animals that have more, but animals have eyes, we have eyes. Animals, they have nose, we have nose. Animals have ears, we have ears. Animals have a tongue, we have a tongue. Animals have teeth, we have teeth. Animals have limbs, we have limbs. Right? And so this is animalistic. And in reality, if you really look into what bodies are for humans, they are means of transportation. The bodies are means for transportation, for the soul. So the soul is riding this body that we all have, and this body is taking our soul from place to place. That's all what these bodies are doing. So, for example, we need to go to the market, the bodies will take us, yani the soul, to the market. If we need to go to the masjid, then the bodies will take that soul to the masjid. And if there are people who want to go to some other bad places or good places, the bodies will just facilitate. That's all what bodies do. But the ruh is the insan. Ruh is the human being. Ruh is the one who goes wherever he wants to go. And then the bodies help. Likewise, bodies also help in doing a'mal. They also help in doing actions. So if we want to pray, then the bodies help a person to pray, right? So we stand up, the bodies stand up, and then all of the actions that we have in prayers are the actions of the body, right? So the bodies are there to help and facilitate the insan to work for the akhirat. Now this is a person's choice as to what sort of amal does he want to do for the akhirat. If he wants to do the amal of Jannat, then the bodies will help them doing the amal of Jannat, of paradise. And if the person doesn't understand and he wants to do the amal of Jahannam, wal-iyazu billah, then the bodies will help in doing the amal for Jahannam. But this is what bodies are. So understand the whole anatomy, the real anatomy of a human being. The human being is consisted of two parts. One is the body and the other is the soul, other is the ruh. And the ruh is the real insan. The ruh is the real human being. And the bodies are animalistic. Alright? It's not only that we share the physical aspects of the body with the animals, we also share the inside characteristics of the body as well with the animals. In other words, desires. So animals want to eat, our bodies want to eat. Animals want to drink, we want to drink. Animals want to reproduce, and humans also reproduce. They also have desires to reproduce. That is also animalistic. So desires are also animalistic. Not only that, there are animals that will want to dominate. You know, if you have been to a safari, or you've been to, generally you can notice that in a safari, but it's where there are animals in an open land. So you see that there are places, or there are some sectors of the safari where there will be one male and surrounded by all females, and this male will not enter any other male to come to his territory, right? Why? Because he wants to dominate that territory. So this is what animals do. There are some animals who won't let anybody else to come in their domain. Likewise, there are people, there are humans who have this desire that they should have their territory, and they don't want anybody else to enter their territory. So they want to dominate. So this is also animalistic. The desires are animalistic. So this is how Allah Ta'ala has created us. We have bodies and we have ruh. We have bodies, we have soul, right? And as I said, people have forgotten about that they have a ruh. All what people remember is that they have a body, and the whole effort is being done on the bodies. That's why, as I said at the start, that you go to a grocery store and find all of these things that are food for the body. But where is the food for the soul? This is another question, right? If we are made up of bodies and soul, then just like we have food for the bodies, we must have food for the soul as well. And in fact, more so because they are the real human beings. Where is the food for the soul? What is the root food for the soul? The food for the soul is the remembrance of Allah of any sort. That's what food for the soul is. I'll tell you another interesting point actually. Wherever or whatever elements a particular thing is made out from, its food is also coming from the same elements or similar elements. What is body made out of? Body is made out of dust. We all know that, right? We are made out of dust and we go back into the dust. When we die, we are put into our graves and we go back to our reality. The bodies go back to their reality. So, the bodies are made out of dust. And all the nourishment, all the food for the bodies are also made out of dust. It's interesting, right? The crops grow in the land. The clothes are also our necessity. They're also food for the bodies. We need to cover our bodies. And we need clothes. Where are clothes made out of? They're made out of dust, right? For example, we wear cotton clothes. Where does cotton come out from? From the dust. Every single thing that our bodies are in need of, they're all made out of dust. In fact, I went to a museum in Chicago, and there was a whole section in the Museum of Chicago that was there to prove this very point. He said that all of the needs of a human being, and then they considered human being as the bodies, they said all of the needs of a human being are made out of dust, and they proved that. So they had this whole section proving just that. But unfortunately, what they did not prove is that in human being is not only bodies, but they did prove that the need of the body is from the land, which is true. But then, so the body is made out of dust, its needs are made out of dust. But the ruh, where does it come from? Ruh comes from Allah, right? The ruh comes from that other realm. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. Allah Ta'ala says that these people ask about ruh, about the soul, that what is it? Tell them that ruh is the command of your Rabb. It comes from Allah. That takes us into another dimension of understanding actually. Allah Ta'ala creates things in two ways. That's His sunnah. One way of creating is that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala takes a thing into stages of creation. And there are other things that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala creates, and that creation is through just a command. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran that when I decide to create something, I say kun fayakun. I say be, and He command, and here it is. It becomes that. So some things are created through stages, and there are other things that are created just by one command. And that is also for us to understand. Allah Ta'ala does not have to give a command. Allah Ta'ala can just decide to create a thing, and it can be created in an instant, right? And that instance is also something that we understand. So, for example, Allah Ta'ala said that He created heavens and the earth. He created heavens and the earth in 6 days, right? So, Allah Ta'ala has created heavens and the earth through stages in 6 days. So that is creation through stages. Likewise, Allah Ta'ala creates our bodies through stages. As we all know, that we remain in the womb of our mother for 9 months, then we come out, then body is still not mature. It takes like good 18, 19, 20 years for the body to get matured. So the body is created through stages. So this creation is through stages. So this is one type of creation. But then there is another type of creation, as I said, which Allah Ta'ala creates just by His command. Right? And the ruh is one of those. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. They ask you about ruh. Tell them that ruh is the command of your Rabb. It is through that kun, be, and it is. So we are a combination of that. We are of something that is created through command, through amr, and then we also are made out of bodies, which is through the other type of creation, which is creation through stages. And in fact, our Mashaykh have given it a terminology. Said that one is the alam of amr and one is alam of khalq. Khalq is the creation through stages and amr is the creation through the command. So we are the combination of amr and khalq. We are the combination of something that is created through amr, yani command of Allah, and we also have a body that is created in stages, which is in khalq. So if you understand that the body is created in stages from dust, all of its need, the food is fulfilled from dust, and then the ruh is through the amr of Allah, and the alam of amr, you can understand it is from Allah. It is with Allah. You can say it like that if you want to understand it properly. The alam of amr is with Allah Ta'ala. That's a different realm. That's where the angels are, the angels of the other, angels that are muqarrabeen, the angels that are with Allah. That's where they are, right? And all of the things that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has mentioned, right? So that is all alam of amr. So now because our ruh is through the command of Allah, our ruh is through amr of Allah Ta'ala. So the nourishment for the ruh is also from the alam of amr. The nourishment for the ruh is also from the alam of amr. And what is that? That is kalamullah, Quran, zikr, remembrance, prayers, fasting, hajj, umrah, charity, doing good to others. What happens when you do good to others? It attracts the mercy of Allah. It attracts the rahmat of Allah Ta'ala. And that is coming from Allah, from the alam of amr. We have not thought about it, that this is where the food for ruh comes from. Many people ask, why do we need to have 5 prayers every single day? They want logic. Well, honestly speaking, you cannot give any logic to that until you understand the whole anatomy of a human being. You cannot give them a logic. You need to understand ruh first. You need to understand what a human being is made out of. Right? We eat 3 meals every day, generally outside Ramadan. Why do we eat 3 meals every day? Can you give a logic for that? Somebody say, bro, our body needs that. Unfortunately, we eat even more. We eat 5 times a day. We keep on munching things. We keep on eating snacks. Why? Because they say that our body needs strength, and the strength comes from food. Likewise, the ruh needs a meal 5 times every single day. Our ruh needs meal 5 times every single day in the shape, in the form of prayers. It's not just random that Allah Ta'ala has given us 5 daily prayers. What if you don't eat? Say if you eat only once a day, or you eat once in 2 days, what happens? The body starts feeling lethargic. Likewise, if anybody doesn't pray 5 times every single day, the ruh starts feeling lethargic. But we don't understand that. And I'll tell you why don't we understand that, inshallah, in a few moments. But first thing first, understand that there is a ruh. We all have a ruh. That's the real insan. That is from the alam of amr. That is created through the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that it also needs nourishment, and its nourishment comes from the alam of Amr, yani from Allah. And what is that? The mercy of Allah, the zikr of Allah. When we do tilawat of the Quran, that's reciting the kalam of Allah Ta'ala. It attracts the mercy. Allah Ta'ala says that when Quran is recited, then listen to it attentively and be quiet, لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ, so that you are shown mercy. The mercy falls, which is the food for the ruh. When we do zikr, the mercy falls, which is the food for the ruh. When we help others, the mercy falls, which is the food for the ruh. So understand that the nourishment for the ruh comes from Allah Ta'ala, from the alam of Amr. Having said that, going back, when we don't give food to the body, we start feeling lethargic. That's why we eat. That's understandable. That's exactly what happens. What if you still don't give body foods? First, it'll feel lethargic. Second, it'll fall sick. Right? Because body is now lethargic, body is weak, the viruses, the bacteria, they attack, and the body falls sick. Because we have our internal immune system. The immune system continues to fight with the viruses and bacteria, the hundreds of thousands of bacteria and viruses that are in the air. And the immune system keeps on fighting with them, and the body remains healthy. If you don't give food to the body, then it falls weak, it becomes lethargic, the immune system becomes weak, and the viruses, the bacteria, they are able to dominate, and people fall sick. What if you still doesn't give body its food, nourishment? What will happen next? The next thing will be that the sickness will become so much that a person will die. Eventually, the person will pass away, right? He will become dead. This is the process. These are the stages: lethargicness, sickness, death. Likewise, when we don't give food to the ruh, exactly the same process happens. First, number one, the ruh becomes lethargic. It becomes weak. Number two, it becomes sick. Number three, it dies. The ruh dies. The body is alive. The ruh is within us, but it dies. Tell you another dimension. The center of the body is the heart. If somebody's finger gets cut, unless and until there is an excessive bleeding, and that excessive bleeding will trigger some other things, but generally person doesn't die if his hand gets cut, his finger gets cut, his ear gets cut, his nose gets cut, his limb gets cut. But if the heart is cut, is taken out, the body dies instantly. The center of the body, the physical body, is the physical heart, which is almost in the center of the heart, center of the chest, right? Ruh also has its center, and that center is the spiritual heart. So the body has, the center of the body is the physical heart, and the center of the ruh is the spiritual heart. We also have a spiritual heart. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that when a person sins, there is a black dot that appears on his heart. And if he does tawbah, that black dot is removed. But if he does not do tawbah, does not ask Allah Ta'ala for forgiveness, and he again sins, then there is another black dot that appears. And a time comes when he continues to sin, that the whole heart becomes black. So if there is an open sinner, for example, and say if the doctor does his open heart surgery, they take his heart out, does he see that his heart is black? No. His heart is similar to anybody's heart. So what is Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam talking about then? Of course, what he's saying is right. We believe in him. He is a sadiq and he's al-masduq. He's truthful, and he's made truthful by Allah. He's truthful. We trust him. We believe in him, right, as a prophet. So what is he talking about? He said that the heart becomes black if a person keeps on sinning. In reality, he's talking about the spiritual heart, that the spiritual heart becomes black. Allah Ta'ala says that on the day of judgment, the only thing that will benefit you is the heart. يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On the day of judgment, nothing, your children will not benefit you, your wealth will not benefit you. The only thing that will benefit you is your heart. Which heart? This physical heart? No. The spiritual heart. Allah Ta'ala is saying that on the day of judgment, the spiritual heart will benefit. That is the spiritual heart that becomes black. Alright? So the center of the ruh is the spiritual heart. We also have a ruh and we also have a spiritual heart. So when people do not give nourishment to the ruh becomes lethargic, ruh becomes sick, and the ruh dies. And in other words, the spiritual heart becomes weak, becomes sick, and the spiritual heart dies. The ruh dying means the spiritual heart dying. The spiritual heart becoming sick. And that's what Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. Talking about the hypocrites, Allah Ta'ala says in their hearts are sickness. فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. Allah Ta'ala increased them in their sickness. Which hearts are sick? This in the spiritual hearts. Right? Allah Ta'ala said to women that don't be complacent in your speech when you talk to non-mahram men. Why? فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٌ. Because if there is a person whose heart is sick, then he will desire you. When you will talk to him with a lot of softness, if his heart is sick, if his heart has marad, then he will think that, oh, you are inviting him. He will desire you. Whose heart is sick? فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٌ. So the heart becomes sick, spiritual heart, right? And then Allah Ta'ala says that there are some people who walk on the face of the earth, but they are dead. How can a person be dead and still walking on the face of the earth at the same time? In reality, Allah Ta'ala is saying their ruh is dead. In other words, the spiritual heart is dead. So the spiritual heart goes through the same process as the body goes through if you don't give it nourishment. What happens? First, it becomes lethargic. What is the sign of the lethargicness of the ruh, of the spiritual heart? We don't feel like praying. We don't feel like doing zikr. We don't feel like doing the tilawat of the Quran. We don't feel like making dua to Allah Ta'ala. We don't feel like giving in charity. We feel stingy hearted. We don't feel generosity inside. We don't feel like helping others. We just become selfish people. This is the sign when we don't feel like any of these things, right? We don't feel like doing good things. It is a sign that our heart, spiritual heart, is lethargic. It's already become weak, or our ruh has already become weak. What happens when it becomes sick? What are the sicknesses? Now, when the ruh, the spiritual heart, becomes weak, now it becomes an attack of shaitan. Shaitan then comes in. And shaitan is that big virus of the spiritual heart, or the spirituality, or the ruh. Shaitan comes in and starts attacking, and then it makes the body, the heart, spiritual heart, or the ruh sick. What are the sicknesses? The spiritual diseases, as we call it. Spiritual sicknesses. Arrogance, jealousy, love of dunya, ungratefulness, being impatient, pride, stinginess, cowardliness. These are all diseases. These are all spiritual diseases. The heart, the spiritual heart, has been diseased now. These are the sicknesses. That's what Allah Ta'ala says to women that don't talk to these men who have sick hearts, because now they will think you're talking to them in soft manner. They will desire you. They think that you are approaching them, right? So that's a sickness of the heart. فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ, in their hearts is a sickness. These are the sicknesses. Not having firm belief is a sickness of the heart. Not having that true yaqeen is a sickness of the heart. So the hearts become sick. Why? Because they have not been taken care of to start with initially. And then the heart dies. A time comes that the spiritual heart dies. The ruh dies. What remains? The body. And what did I say? What is the body? An animal. So we look as if there are human beings walking on the face of the earth, but in reality they're animals walking on the face of the earth. Because their heart, the spiritual heart, has been dead. Insan, there is no insan anymore. That's where, people kill each other. That's what people hate each other. That's where people, they become selfish people. They don't care about anybody else. That is not humanity. Humanity is love. Humanity is care. Humanity is thinking about others. Humanity is selflessness. Humanity is generosity. Humanity is helping others. That's humanity. But you see all of these things happening, you're only thinking about yourself. That is animalistic. That's not human. Why has a human reached to the level of an animal being? Is because they're not taking care of their ruh. They've not taken care of their soul, and their soul have gone through the stages of being lethargic and sick, and now is dead. All what remains is a body, and that body is an animal. That's what's going through with people. People don't realize that. We are feeding our bodies, but we are not feeding our ruh. Muslims don't pray. Even if they do, they pray like 2 times a day, once a day, thrice a day. Of course, you're not giving full nourishment to the ruh. You're not giving full nourishment to the soul. People don't do tilawat of the Quran. People don't do zikr anymore. People don't do acts of goodness. People don't give out in charity. So that is the problem. There's food for the body but no food for the soul. And humans have become animals. Ramadan is very interesting. Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, la'allakum tattaqun. That, oh, you who believe, fasting has been made mandatory upon all of you, as it was made mandatory to the people before you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you become people of taqwa. Taqwa means to stay away from the disobedience of Allah. Taqwa means to control your desires. Taqwa means to keep your desires, your animalistic desires, within the limits that have been set by Allah. That's what taqwa is. A person will become a human being if he will control his animalistic desires and will keep it in the limits that have been set by Allah. So you can also say that taqwa is becoming a human. Taqwa is to become a true human being, to control your animalistic desires within the limits that are set by Allah. Allah Ta'ala does not want that we kill our desires. Allah Ta'ala never wants that. We are to take care of our bodies. We have to fulfill its desires. We have to eat. We have to drink. We have to get married. We have to, take care of our bodies. It is part of our deen actually. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَلِنَفْسِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. Your body is your soul, your nafs. Your bodies have a right over you. Take care of your bodies. You have to take a bath. We have to take a shower. We have to make sure that, we are taking care of our bodies. It's part of our deen. We get ajr for that if we take care of our bodies, with the right intention. So, we're never supposed to kill our desires. But then Allah Ta'ala wants that we control our desires. Be human. Don't become an animal. So Allah Ta'ala set limits to desires. You can eat certain things, but you cannot eat some other things. Right? There are things that are halal, there are things that are haram. You can eat, drink certain things, you cannot drink certain things. You cannot drink alcohol. So there are certain things that are halal, others are haram. You can get married, but you cannot fulfill your marital desires through any other way. So there is a limit, there is a halal way and there are haram ways. So you do what's halal, you don't do what's haram. You do what's permissible, don't do what's prohibited. So desires are not to be killed, but desires are to be kept in limits. Allah Ta'ala has set limits. Tilka hududullah. Allah Ta'ala says these are the boundaries set by Allah. And then Allah Ta'ala says that whoever transgresses and go beyond those boundaries set by Allah, indeed he has oppressed himself. So desires are to be kept in limit. The bodily desires, the animalistic desires are to be kept within the limits that are set by Allah Ta'ala. How does, and that's taqwa, right? This is what taqwa is, to keep your desires within the boundaries set by Allah. That is humanity. That is a human being. Otherwise, a person becomes an animal. How does that happen? How are we able to control our desires and keep them within the limits? What drives that? The ruh drives that. Right? The ruh drives that. Ruh is that insan, the real human. It drives that we keep our desires within limit. But for that, the ruh has to be dominant, isn't it? So that it can drive it. And the body has to be submissive so that it can listen to the command of the ruh. That's the only way that the ruh can drive it. But for that, one thing has to happen, and that thing is the ruh has to be strong. And the body has to be relatively weak, relative as compared to the ruh. Right? Only then the ruh will drive and the bodies will follow. But if the bodies are stronger than the ruh, or say the ruh is absolutely dead, then of course the bodies will drive and they will go beyond limits and will do whatever they can do. They will go beyond limits. Right? So the insaniyat, humanity, taqwa is that the desires are kept within limits, and these can be kept within limits if the ruh is stronger than the body. If you have understood that, now see how Allah Ta'ala says that fasting has been given to you so that you become people of taqwa, so that you become insan, so that you can control your desires. What happens in Ramadan? How is Ramadan designed? Look, we don't eat, we don't drink, we don't have marital relations from start of Fajr time all the way to Maghrib, majority of the day. And if you're in the UK, subhanAllah, there's like 21 hours of fasting or more. So only 3 hours of eating, drinking, and then 21 hours that we are not eating and we are not drinking, right? So less food to the bodies, less nourishment to the bodies. What else are we doing? We are fasting. Fasting itself is the nourishment for the ruh. Fasting itself is the food for the ruh. What else do we do? 20 rakahs of Taraweeh every day. 20 extra rak'at that we are praying every single day. That's another food for the ruh. What else do we do? Ideally, we do tilawat of the Quran. That's food for the ruh. We listen to the Quran being recited in Taraweeh. That's food for the ruh. We do dhikr of Allah Ta'ala. Food for the ruh. We listen to good advices, talks from the scholars. Food for the ruh. Right? So, less food to the body in Ramadan and automatically more food to the ruh in Ramadan. As a result of that, what happens? Ruh is automatically getting stronger and stronger because it is getting more food, extra supplements in Ramadan, and the body is becoming weaker and weaker and weaker automatically as per the design. So the ruh at the end, if people really fast the way that they should be fasting, at the end of the month, the ruh becomes strong, the body becomes weak, ruh dominates the bodies, and it forces it or helps it in controlling the desires and keeping it within the limits. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. You become people of taqwa. Become humans. It's amazing how Ramadan is designed. And it is just a practice, a ground that Allah Ta'ala has provided to us where we practice. It is not that we do all of this in Ramadan and outside Ramadan we just forget about what we did in Ramadan. No, it is just a practice ground. It's like net practice in cricket, right? The whole other 11 months are the real playground. So we take this practice inside to the real playground, which is the other 11 months. But there is an extra practice, extra effort. Allah Ta'ala is saying, don't eat, don't drink, don't have marital relations for a long period of time. And then you give food to your ruh. Let's make it strong. Let's make it strong. Now, a true human has come out of Ramadan. Now, take this human being. Your heart, the spiritual heart, has been made strong in this month. Now, use it. Keep it strong. Keep it healthy, right? And use it to control your desires, to control your animal being, and live as a human being in other 11 months. That's why Ramadan is given, people. I said one thing at the start, that people don't feel lethargicness. And the reason that people don't feel lethargicness is because majority of us, our spiritual hearts have already died, unfortunately. Because we never took care of it, so it has already passed away. If you pinch a living being, right? You pinch him real hard, you say, oh, ouch, because it hurts. If there is dead body, you pinch him, he won't say a word. He won't even move. Why? He's dead. Likewise, when the spiritual heart is alive, when we say miss one prayer, it hurts. Feel that lethargicness. Oh my God, I missed something. If a person lies, it feels something wrong has happened. You feel heavy-hearted. Oh, I lied today. If a person looks at something wrong, Allah Ta'ala wants us to not look at people that we are not supposed to look at, non-mahrams, with lust, with desire. Right? That's forbidden in our deen. That's a sin. But when we look at them and our heart is still alive, right, it feels bad. Oh my God, I did something wrong. Astaghfirullah. Unless and until we seek forgiveness from Allah Ta'ala, we don't feel satisfied. Because as if a heavy rock has been placed on our chest. That's what happens. But if the heart dies, if the spiritual heart is dead, then people watch movies, sit in front of their TV screens or laptops or mobile phones and watch films for hours, and their hearts don't move. They don't even feel anything, as if something has gone wrong. People lie and they don't feel anything bad, anything wrong has happened. People, they do all of these wrong things and they don't feel bad about it. The reason is that their hearts have died. The spiritual hearts have already died. Right? So that's a very scary situation to be in, actually. Because what did I say also? That Allah Ta'ala says, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On the day of judgment, your wealth is not going to benefit you, your children won't benefit you. All what's going to benefit you is a sound heart, not a dead heart, a sound heart. A sound heart will benefit you. So Allah Ta'ala wants that we keep our spiritual hearts alive. That's our job in life. In fact, the whole struggle of our life is to keep our spiritual hearts healthy and alive. That's our job. That's why we have been sent to this dunya. To take care of our hearts. Keep giving it the nourishment, the food. And make sure that our bodies are driven by our ruh. This is our job. And Allah Ta'ala wants that when our physical bodies die, when Allah Ta'ala takes out that ruh from our bodies, then it should come out in a healthy state. The spiritual heart should be sound and healthy at that time. And this is what our job is, to keep it healthy and alive all our life. In other words, keep giving it nourishment, keep giving it its food, keep looking at it. Is it feeling lethargic? Oh, it needs some extra supplement. It needs something extra. Then we do something extra, right? So this is our job, people. Understand this. Please don't only focus on the food for your bodies, but also focus on the food for your ruh. In fact, more for the food for your ruh as opposed to food for the bodies. Right? The last question is that what do we do if we feel that our spiritual hearts have died? There's a good news for you, for all of us. The good news is that if our physical bodies die, there's no way back from it. When a person dies, he's dead. That's it. His time is up. But if a spiritual heart dies, Allah Ta'ala is so generous. Allah Ta'ala has given a second chance, and a third chance, and a fourth chance, and a 10th chance, and a 100th chance to bring it back to life. The spiritual hearts come back to life. How do they come back to life? There is a concept called tawbah. If we have not taken care of our ruh, we have not prayed 5 times a day, we didn't do what we were supposed to do, we didn't keep our gaze low, we didn't help out people, we didn't give in charity, rather we have been just feeding our physical bodies, and we have become animals, the spiritual hearts have died. Allah Ta'ala gives us a chance, Allah Ta'ala gives our spiritual hearts life again by doing tawbah. What is tawbah? Tawbah is that all what we need to do is that we should connect to Allah, reconnect to Allah. Taba yatubu means to return. The word tawbah is from the root taba yatubu, which means to return. So Allah Ta'ala wants that we return to Him and ask Him that, Ya Allah, I'm sorry for all what I have done. I've not taken care of my spiritual heart, of my soul. I have been negligent and it has died. I'm sorry for that. Ya Allah, you please give it life again. And what do you say to Allah? Ya Allah, all these desires where I've crossed the limits, where I did not take care of the limits and I transgressed, I passed those limits. Ya Allah, first thing, I'm sorry. I feel bad about that. And 2, I make a commitment with you, Ya Allah. I'm not going to cross these limits again. And I will give food to my soul, to my ruh. Ya Allah, make a commitment with you. That's it. 3-step process. Number 1, say sorry. Number 2, have guilt in the heart, feel bad about it. 3, make a commitment with Allah that, Ya Allah, I did not keep my desires within limits. I make a commitment with you that I will inshallah try to keep my desires within the limits that are set by you. Won't look at anybody, won't eat just anything, won't drink just anything, will control my tongue, will control my ears, will control my eyes, will control my body parts, will control my limbs. I will fulfill my body's desires of the body within the limits that have been set by you. I make a commitment with you. Allah Ta'ala is so generous that Allah Ta'ala gives the dead spiritual hearts their life back. And then our job starts again. Same job is that how do we take care of our spiritual hearts? This is what life is about. Ramadan is a beautiful practice ground for that. Please people, take care of Ramadan. There are like 4 or 5 days left. You know, it's not over yet. 4 or 5 days are left, but it's still not over yet. Ramadan is special. It's extra. Mercy is falling. It's an extra special. Please, let's do qadr of this. Let's appreciate this month. that Allah Ta'ala has given to me and you. Let's do tawbah in this month. And let's start that journey of maintaining the health of our spiritual hearts, to maintain the health of our ruh. And inshallah, let's become humans. Let's all become true human beings. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, if you give me 2 minutes, inshallah, there is a process that our Mashaykh have taught. Although we don't need anything to do tawbah, all what I have said, 3-step process, that is tawbah. But, let's not give any room to shaitan for, I'll do tawbah tonight or tomorrow. Let's do tawbah now. Our Mashaykh have taught us a few words, some kalimat, which is actually to renew our faith, to renew our iman, and then asking Allah Ta'ala for forgiveness. Let's recite these kalimat together with the niyat of tawbah now. Alright? Inshallah, let's recite these kalimat now. Let's do tawbah now. Why to wait? And if there's anybody who wants to, keep the connection, our website, by the way, is nurulilm.com, nurulilm.com, nurulilm.com. There are many lectures that are in there. You can go and listen to that. And anybody wants to keep connection, you can connect through that. And if anybody wants to keep connection and anybody wants to take bay'at, there's a concept in our deen, it's a sunnat that Nabi Karim Sallallahu used to take bay'at. There's an oath of allegiance, to develop yourself. If you want to take that, you can also make an extra niyat of that as well now while reciting these kalimat. But at least everybody should recite these kalimat with the niyat of tawbah, inshallah. So let's recite it. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadi alladhina istafa amma ba'd. So if you can all say these kalimat with the niyat of tawbah or extra niyat of bay'at, say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhiri wal qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi min Allah ta'ala wal ba'thi ba'da al maut. Amantu billahi kama huwa bi asma'ihi wa sifatihi wa qabiltu jami'a أحكامه إقرار باللسان وتصديق بالقلب أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أستغفر الله ربي من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. These are the kalimat, inshallah. As part of that food for the ruh, our Mashaykh have recommended some adhkar as well that we can do in the morning and the evening. So I'll just mention it to you, inshallah. There will be very, very beneficial. One is doing istighfar morning, evening, 100 times each. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayh. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli dhanbin wa atubu ilayh. 100 in the morning, 100 in the evening. If you don't have time, you can reduce the number, but try to do it every day. Second is salawat ala nabi, sending salutations on the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, durood, as we call it in Urdu. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. That's also to be done 100 morning, 100 evening. Third is reciting Quran every day, even if it's little, but try to recite it every day. And fourth is something called muraqabah. Muraqabah is to do the dhikr of Allah Ta'ala in the heart. Again, in the spiritual heart, actually. So the way to do that is that for some time, just close your eyes, focus on the left-hand side of your chest, a little lower on the left-hand side of your chest, on the side, and just sit with this intention that as if my heart is saying Allah, 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 and as if I'm listening to it. You'll not hear the sound of Allah initially. Some people do actually hear that as well. But just sit with this niyat that as if my heart is saying Allah, 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 and as if I'm listening. So any thought that might come in your head, and it will come initially, lots of thoughts actually come initially. Ignore all of them, just sit with this niyat. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, as much as you can sit. It's very, very powerful zikr of the heart called muraqabah. So 4 things: istighfar, durood, tilawat of Quran, and muraqabah. Inshallah, try to do it every day. Take it as food for your soul, food for your ruh, inshallah. And control your desires, people. Don't disobey Allah, don't sin. Control your eyes, control your tongue. Don't lie, don't backbite, don't make fun of others. Control your ears, don't listen to music, don't listen to backbiting, don't listen to any immodest stuff. Control your limbs, control your private parts. Okay, inshallah, you will feel that human being will become alive within yourself, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.